Are Crypt Ghouls any good in patch 5.3? This is a very relevant question. I don't feel like Crypt Ghouls were bad, but they were certainly fragile. Now they cost more, but they're made of something a bit sturdier than tissue paper. How does that change their prospects? Let's dig into the graveyard and find out. Recruited for 600 dark magic and 150 upkeep, and that's up from 500 gold equivalent. This is a 120 entity unit on Ultra, a sharp difference from 160 entity Chaff. Health of 8,280 unit wide may look good, but that's compared to ordinary mortal units. It's a lot less than a full zombie unit. Having said that, it's also 720 more health than the unit had prior to patch 5.3. Armor is 30, and this is a big difference from last patch, when armor was only 10 since time immemorial. Now it's at a level that would not be embarrassing for orc boys, at least the ones a little light on scrap. Leadership 54 is a lot better than skeletons start with. Speed 38 and charge speed 46 is downright nimble compared to a lot of their forces, but is still shambling compared to cavalry and warhounds. Melee attack starts at 32, which is refreshingly decent. And one thing that hasn't changed at all is that this is a full-time poison-inflicting melee unit with all the usual benefits, not just for the unit itself, but for all its friends. Attack interval of 4.3 is mediocre, but that's good in the sense of not being any slower than that. No splash damage. Melee defense 25 isn't that high compared, and defense wasn't meant to be the strength of this unit. Certainly not in a roster where Grave Guard exists. Weapon strength 40 is hilariously imbalanced, split between base 36 and armor piercing 4. This is a unit meant to devastate low armor units, though the ghouls themselves are a bit less paper than before. It's meant to be atrocious against armored infantry of various dwarfs. It's meant to be atrocious against dwarfs. Charge bonus 16 is shockingly vicious for melee infantry. Mass of 90 is slightly lightweight. In addition to usual undead features and causes fear, which basically is one as well, plus standard hide in forest, this unit has Vanguard deployment and Stalk. We still need to respect its speed is only nimble infantry speed, but it does have ability to backstab, backcap, and otherwise assault the back. In the redline skills, I will call this interesting. Crypt Ghouls benefit from the Unliving Host. You may have mixed feelings about slapping 3 pips into this and giving plus 8 melee attack and melee defense to your zombie units or skeleton spearmen, but Crypt Ghouls beginning with very decent stats and quite high weapon strength, even if it is really tilted hard away from armor piercing, well, you're starting to get a very capable force. However, rank 7 ghouls benefit from deadly power, slapping melee attack plus 5, weapon strength plus 12%, and physical resistance 10%, and that's really good for them. In the tech tree, it's so simple even a zombie would get it because all the techs are clustered together. Incantations of Usharan grants minus 10% upkeep and minus 10% to the regular and raised dead recruitment costs. Strigoi Legacy grants speed plus 5%, we'll take it, and weapon strength plus 10%, ooh, tasty. Finally, Cannibalistic Rituals, ooh, tasty. Grants 50% higher in-battle healing cap and provides the hunger to the ghouls, meaning they regenerate while dealing their damage. The Hex help those who help themselves. A unit at full HP for its entities qualifies for reviving entities lost mid-battle. So how do we use Crypt Ghouls? In the past, I had a simple rule for this unit and ones like it. If you have one hidden amongst the throng, it will overperform because you can send it to a convenient place, often hitting a mini blob from the rear. If you bring masses of them and try to use them as a front line, they will get hosed. And when I say hosed, I'm picturing Iron Drakes pouring fire onto them. It's not that they had regeneration and therefore fire weakness, but the low armor really made that hurt. Now, I'm genuinely not arguing in favor of throwing them in like a faster skeleton line from the front. What's the point of Stalk if you're going to make it that obvious? Well, let me amend that. There are certain army types where you should absolutely want to get into the enemy's face and make contact with their lines really early, but Crypt Ghouls do not have the speed to break into the back line unless an enemy is doing something wrong or has broken down somewhere. That said, they're probably able to catch most mortal races' missile infantry units and keep them busy. It's just to say that despite being hardier than they were, they're still meant as damage dealers and short-term target units, not as your main target. So they're off-target. Before, as a player facing vampire counts, I'd pounce on Crypt Ghouls anywhere I saw them and would devote my archer fire there, partly because they had it coming for having 10 armor, and partly because they were much more dangerous in melee at least than zombies and skeletons, and even if I won, just the poison alone would make it a drawn-out slog, and I'd go through a lot of damage. 30 armor and more health make this reflexive tactic not at all a bad choice, but more arrows will have to be expended on the same job. It's to say, from the other side's perspective, you would still rather put down ghouls than shoot skeletons, and certainly zombies. Conversely, all you need to do is keep your ghouls from being marked by the enemy, and they'll be the ones intact. Your chaff exists to take the arrows in the shield, or if zombies, to take them in the chest and head. That's what they're for. You don't want Crypt Ghouls suffering unnecessary losses. A 120 entity poison-causing unit, once in contact with a soft, squishy missile infantry force, has an easy win on its hands. It'll help a huge ton with low to moderate armor-line infantry too, sort of like honorary cavalry. At any rate, they are the faction's rush infantry, and you need to accept the good and the bad with that. They'll hit harder, but they'll also die faster. If not as fast as they did a week ago. Here's the thing. If they're fighting appropriate targets, as in lower armored targets, they're doing virtually every bit as much damage as Graveguard would. That's even if everybody had their redline and base tech benefits, not accounting for special lords. If you're looking for a target to slap a Das Macabre on, you're just as well putting it on the Crypt Ghoul unit. Soulblight also has incredible synergy with them. These are the options you can use to speed up a fight, to say nothing of corpse carts and so on. The faster the enemy breaks, the faster you can send ghouls charging into a new target. After stealth, offense is their only defense, so keep that in mind. Take care, and have fun chewing your way to victory. That's actually a grisly image. But look at what I'm dealing with here. I blame my material.